Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Wow. This is it, folks. Can anybody pull up the link and tell me, can you hear us? Tell us that the C3 Panthers Podcast is working loud and clear. We're at Monster Subs and Grub in Spartanburg.
Yeah.
This is a epic moment for the C3 Panthers Podcast, a first of firsts.
All together, baby.
A first time that we have all been together in the same town, the same room, at the same time. We've had multiple people interact over the years, but never all of us at once. On top of that, it's our first podcast on the road. Yes. Not on the road, but on assignment. And we're on assignment at Spartanburg, Sparkle City, Spartanburg training camp. We're at Monster Subs and Grub. We appreciate everybody for coming out, number one, and number two, tuning in to the listeners tuning in to the podcast. My name's Tony Dunn. C3 Panthers Podcast is live every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. We got the Friday free for all on Fridays, but today is day 2 observations of training camp. It's a first. It's a first of first, and let's start with Cody Lashney, my wheelman. You look great.
Tony Dunn, this is my first time ever in Spartanburg, man. I'm happy to be here with the boys here at Monster Subs. I'm loving it, man. Yeah. This is something to remember forever, man. Shout out to PJ, man, for having us, Paisan. And listen, you know we're going to do this with the best damn Panther fans and all of YouTube. You already know them and love them. Jake the Snake, FSU, Matt Knows Nothing, Charlotte Sports 1, Panther Gal, Marcus Barnes, Josh, Nirvash, Bob Cranford, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Let's roll. CK, I want to congratulate you for making this happen. And when I say making it happen, is making us not be lazy asses and just stay at home. Day 2. And you know what? We got the special treatment today. We got the tent. And you know what? I am not even tired. I'm not even tired. I haven't eaten yet. I'm going to eat after this. I'm going to sub and grub it after this. How you doing, my man?
Man, I'm living the dream out here.
Get your face in that mic.
Yeah. Well, I'm living the dream. And man, I'm just happy to be here with the boys. It's one of the things that we had been striving to be able to do at some point, to be able to get all in one room, to be able to really show what being in one place could possibly do if we ever get to a point where we're all able to do this on a permanent basis. That'd be awesome. But as of right now, man, I'm just happy to be here with everybody to talk about what we saw today in training camp, and actually look at you in the eyes and you know, fall in love.
I am in love. I'm in love with this corner. And Greg, I'm in love with your Viking playoff beard. It's not a Viking beard. It's a Panther beard. That's a Panther beard.
Yeah, we can call it a Panther beard for now. Okay, gotcha. It's definitely going to be a Viking beard soon when I braid it for Comic-Con this weekend to go as a Viking. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Look, man, this is amazing. Tony, I remember meeting the podcast years ago, finding C3 and wanting to be with y'all. Now I'm here doing the first live show. You always describe it as riding in the car with friends after a game, and I literally just rode in Tony's truck with him after a practice talking about it. So, like, I'm living the dream right now. This is fantastic. Phenomenal time. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much, Monster Subs.
Yeah. And by the way, I wish all of our viewers could smell how incredible it smells in here right now. Dude, it's incredible, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to PJ.
I'm being tortured. I ordered this buffalo chicken. I took a bite, and it's delicious. And now all I want to do is just make you guys let me chew on this thing right now.
All right. You know the drill, folks. And that is to smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, and be a part of our community. That's what I want. This is, like Greg said, the way we think of this podcast from the very beginning, that it ever inception, the whole goal is for us to feel like fans riding to and from a Panthers game. In this case, we're riding to and from training camp. And it's day 2. And we got all together on the boringest day of training camp ever. It was boring.
Well, the fact that they moved it to the far field, I think that yesterday they had a bunch of clips go viral, and I kind of think that the Panthers weren't necessarily down with that. So they moved it to the other field, so it was a little bit harder to make out the action. But there were some notable things that we can talk about today. I mean, Bryce continued to look incredible. I mean, again, I'll echo the sentiment that that CK said yesterday. Bryce Young, is head and shoulders above everyone else. I mean, Andy Dalton is a 9-10 year veteran, and Bryce Young is just head and shoulders above him. And the offense runs through him, and it's fun to see.
Tough day though. Yesterday was flawless for Bryce Young, and today was a reminder that he's human.
Well, it was a reminder that he was human, but I think it also was a reminder that these guys are still learning the new offense. There was a miscommunication that resulted in that interception by CJ Henderson. I mean, you guys know that Bryce Young didn't just throw CJ Henderson an interception off of, inability to play football, right? Like, I mean, that's CJ Henderson.
Yeah. I mean, again,
and nobody expects anything from CJ Henderson.
Well,
He's out there doing
everybody
stuff.
gets lucky. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, broke clock is right twice a day. They say. Now
I can read the comments, okay, if you want to put it over here.
The thing that is incredible is that every time, and we said this yesterday, I don't want to continue too much with the Matt Rule era,
Right.
but like everything that we thought about Matt Rule turned out to be true.
Right.
And now when we talk about CJ Henderson, I'm hoping that all the things we thought aren't true.
Right.
But they're not even talking to him. JC Horn and Dante Jackson are over there joking around, having like a relationship together. And CJ Henderson is just walking behind them like a little child that nobody wants to talk to.
Yeah.
There's even a picture on Twitter right now of CJ Henderson having to tie his shoe, and the coach said, "Do we need to get you Velcro shoe?" The coaches are making fun of him. This poor guy. I feel bad. I feel bad even saying it out loud. But it was nice to see Dante Jackson running. He was running today. He was running today, and also, I guess when we think about this, let's start. This is your first time at training camp, Cody.
Yeah.
And Greg, your first time as well, right?
Yes.
What'd you think about the experience, about the opportunity to go? I know it's kind of highlighted by the fact that we're all together, but what did you see?
Man, well, like I said, Bryce Young really jumped off the field. I mean, the best throw definitely came from Bryce. And he's definitely
three throws. The
best three throws. By the way, Tony, they said turn Greg up a little to turn him a little bit louder. I mean, listen, it was from what we were able to see. Brandon Smith had an interception. I like that. I've been a big fan of Brandon Smith. I hope that he's able to contribute something to our defense. Brian Burns is much taller than you think that he is. Like he's a big dude, man.
I talked about it yesterday. Yeah, he seems like a mutant. He's one of those guys when you see him, you're like, oh, he's a football player. Like he is that type of a human being.
At least he's an
I'm
athlete.
picking up.
You look at that, he's an athlete at least. Yeah.
And I'll also say this: the more and more I watch, the more and more I feel like Derek Brown is about to have a breakout year this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like out of every player on our defense, he's in need of that the most.
Well, he is. We call him Triple B now.
Yeah.
About that business Brown. About that business Brown is making a difference. He was in the backfield immediately on some plays. And, Greg, turn the mic the other way. Remember, look for the Audio Technica, the letters.
Just like that.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the sweet spot. So,
Chat, how does it sound? And by the way, C3 Anthony with the 199 love bomb says, great to see you all together. Have fun. Anthony, we appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man.
we ask you, thank you. First, tell us whatever we can do to continue to, improve the sound quality as we're on the fly. Again, first time on what they don't call it assignment. They call it satellite. What is this?
On location.
On location.
On location.
On location. So, Greg, tell us, what did you see in your first training camp experience?
Okay. First of all, coming to the first training camp, being my first training camp was phenomenal. And the fact that I get to see y'all there, no matter what happened today, it was going to be good. It's a good time.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Bryce Young in action. And a lot of people think that I'm a Bryce Young hater. I'm not a Bryce Young hater. I'm looking right in the camera. I'm not a Bryce Young hater. I just wanted to see it. I will say, after what I saw today, Bryce Young is the best quarterback on our football team. That does not mean that
he's not the loudest, though.
Yeah,
Andy Dalton is the
Andy
loudest.
Dalton's definitely the loudest. Now, that does not mean he's perfect, because he's not. Nobody is.
No.
He had some mistakes today, which is understandable. For the majority of the time, he did really well. I was impressed with what I saw. I think that if he continues to go the way he is going forward, Bryce Young could be a good quarterback. And I've said that for a long time. I just want to see it. But I was more excited about seeing that tonight. And you're talking about Derek Brown, man. What can Brown do for you? He was in the backfield how many times?
Yeah.
To the point where he had to stop. I said, what can Brown do for you? And a UPS truck pulls up. Look at that.
It's a sign. It's a
Oh,
sign.
my God, dude.
Derek Brown breakout year,
Can't
man.
write it any better,
I
dude.
did.
Yeah.
Breakout year. I really do. That was the guy that, out of everybody I saw today, I was the most impressed of. I saw a lot of Brian Burns practicing coverage, and not coverage like a linebacker picking up somebody coming across the middle, like lining up against a wide receiver and following them the whole way. So I wonder where they're going to put him this year, how much coverage he's going to be in. But I was looking for those things. I saw Bryce Young throw the ball well. Brian Burns looked good. Derek Brown looked good. I'm excited for this season.
Thank you for tuning into the C3 Panthers podcast. We're in Sparkle City, Spartanburg, at Monster Subs and Grub. And CK, yesterday was for me. This is we got our T-shirt name, by the way. We every year we try to come up with a unique T-shirt for the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been, over the last few months, bemoaning that I had lost the creative gene and that I just couldn't figure out what this year was going to be, right? Because we couldn't do the Bryce's right, a little too obvious, too little low-hanging
I
fruit.
think it's taken too. We saw a few of those shirts tonight.
Gonna star that.
Yep.
What's that?
Star that.
Yeah, I got you. It is starred now.
Oh, does it start
Yeah,
automatically?
yeah. You
Yeah,
started.
StreamYard stars automatically. You want me to read that off real
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. From Chris Mack with the $4.99 love bomb. He says, glad to see y'all hanging together. How did LaVishka look out there? What was y'all's impression of Bryce in this
Well,
offense?
that's right on time because he was everywhere.
Yeah, I did.
He was everywhere. I'm telling you, this is at first it looked like LaVishka could be an odd man out in this group, and not in a bad way, like he isn't good enough, but a room too crowded.
Yeah.
Right. But what we found, and another thing is, there's a guy who used to cover the Panthers in Charlotte. His name is Josh Norris, and now he is a national, very, very. I think he for Underdog Fantasy started that maybe or something. He does a lot of. He's really high up in football, and he's very smart, and he's very intelligent, and he's usually very measured. And he said LaVishka is a guy that you have to design to get him in the game.
Right.
Like, he's not good enough by himself to just be a great player. You have to, he's in a way a gadget player, but he's not trying to be rude about it.
Right.
The Panthers seem 100% committed to getting LaVishka Shenault involved.
Like on a regular occurrence.
Mhm.
Like, it's not, he's going to be lining up in the slot. It seems like he was in the backfield multiple times. He was a lot of time motioning. He was the target for many of those misdirection plays, the sweep that we saw that ended up being a fumble. There was some positives with that, and that he seems speedy. Like, his speed is still sneaky, in my opinion.
How about this this is a sad, and it's sort of sad to say this and admit this. Well, you know what is we speculate a lot. We make a lot of assumptions, and we want things to happen sometimes that don't come true. And sometimes we guys, Terrace Marshall Jr. Absent. LaVishka Shenault not absent.
No.
Very present.
I will push back on that. Terrace Marshall was on the first team reps today, and he was looking good.
I didn't see him make any
I didn't.
catches.
I mean, I do think that
Bryce
it's
Young catches.
I do think that it's too young it's too early to read too much into who's getting more reps and this and that. I will say though, from what you guys said yesterday and what we saw today, they are making a concerted effort to move Laviska Shenault around this offense.
Yeah.
And I really do think he's going to be a real X factor for this team this year in how they choose to use him. They're motioning him out to the slot. They're putting him in the backfield. We're going to be able to do a lot of different things with Laviska this year that I feel like we're going to be able to see him utilize to his best.
I 100% agree that it's too early to think that, Terrace Marshall Jr. isn't going to be a part of the offense or a team. But it's just is that if it's not him being bad, all I'm just saying is Laviska Shenault, we go, oh, who's that? Oh, Laviska.
Yeah.
It's number 5. Number 5. We saw number 5 make 3 or 4 plays today.
Mm-hmm.
And how many other players could you say you saw 3 or 4 plays?
Right.
You saw plays from a lot of different guys. But, we saw one slight overthrow to Adam Thielen down the field, but still kind of looked good, like right read, right time, just a hair ahead. We saw DJ Shark make a big catch which CK didn't see, or it doesn't even believe happened, because then there is the diving catch, which was Mingo. And how about this? As a rookie, already putting his name and stamp on the squad is Jonathan Mingo, right? It's like it looks like this it's not a developmental rookie. Is this guy? How about this? You got a second round wide receiver and Terrace Marshall Jr. You got a second round wide receiver in Jonathan Mingo, and right now it looks like Mingo is ready, and we're hoping that Terrace Marshall Jr. comes into his own. We truly want him to be part of it. Now this super chat is kind of crazy.
Well, we have 2 super chats. One, Kevin donated $1.99 to roast my Chuck Taylors, and then the chat room proceeded to roast him and said that my Chuck Taylors are classic. So know your role, white chocolate. And then my lovely mama with the $1.99.
She decided to donate to YouTube.
There you go.
She could have just handed you $2.
Yeah, but the chat room knows what's up. Chuck Taylor's never out of style, bro. Can't happen.
Rhea's great. You know what she knows though? What she's on to is that one super chat leads to another super chat.
Oh, that's it, man.
Starting the
That's
trend. That's
it.
right.
Let's go back to this. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Well, I'll say real quick before we get away from Shenault, I just wanted to say, I think the benefit of him on this team and what he can do is we've seen him be able to have breakout speed, be able to catch the ball in space, swings, screens, stuff like that. And he seems like he's a good player. He's going to give us that ability to be like a Swiss Army knife, where it's not so much that you think he's going to kill you, but when he's on the field, what's he going to do? Is he going to run a screen? Is he going to go deep? Is he going to do that? Or is he going to? He can run the ball. He's a good runner of the football.
Yeah.
Versatility.
So he's going to be our guy that when he's on the field is going to make defenses question what we're doing.
Another fantastic thing about that too is as you continue to pose that threat and you present the idea of a player who is, when you bring him in, it's kind of designed for him.
Mm-hmm.
He also goes from design to decoy too, right? It's like, it's like Laviska's in the backfield. Watch out. We've seen this before. And then that's when you run DJ Shark down the sideline. You go, let's go deep. And before we get to the super chat, I do want to jump back to our t-shirt real quick. Is that as soon as I get home to my computer, I'm working on the design, which is going to be very simplistic. But look, everybody's excited. It's an emergency. Get to your computer right now and get
the idea
shirt.
is so hot they call it the fire department.
Exactly.
Bro.
So this was a collaborative effort between Cody and I. And I wanted to tell you this is I was really been worried about this year's shirt because I just didn't have the idea. And I was losing. I'm like, man, and it's been 2 years where I just haven't had a good one that hit. I got the I Stand With Cam shirt. We had the Keep Pounding shirt. We got some here right now. The Keep Pounding shirt is one of the dopest when we went to England. It's got the
pounds on it.
Yeah. So this year, though, I couldn't go Bryce's right.
No.
And so I mentioned to Cody last night, it wasn't a shirt idea. It was just like, hey, this is the in this year 20C3, which we've been calling this our year 20C3, our quarterback was born.
Mm-hmm.
And then the brilliant Cody Lashney comes in and says, go ahead.
The year of our QB 20C3.
The year, and it's a well, you don't want to. It's not. We're not trying to blaspheme the Lord here in this case, but it's a play on that. So now we have the Bryce Young era.
Yep.
So what is it, Cody? BB?
Yeah, we're gonna call it BB and AB.
Right.
Before Bryce and after Bryce.
Yeah. Before Bryce, after Bryce. So the shirt is gonna say the year of our QB 20C3, and then I'm gonna put a 9 on the back. I mean, I feel like this is it. I feel like we got the idea. Now we got a great super chat. I want to thank Panther Gal 73 donating $10 to the show. She said, "Good job, fellas." And look, we're just celebrating here at Monster Subs, being together, enjoying training camp. And while today they pulled a Ron Rivera on us and made that they practice on the backfield. I told you yesterday, CK. I said, look, man, sometimes this is where they do a lot of the drills. We go back there and they move to the front field.
Yeah.
Today, we get prime viewing area under the tent. We're on the crown of the field. We're like in first class because we got Cody Lack with us, right?
Yep.
And then they go to the back like they did. Oh,
yeah,
we get it right.
It makes no sense to me.
Well, there is some
we have
logic
we have theories.
There's two theories. One is probably more accurate than others, and that is the most logical one is that they moved the practice to the other field because they don't want anybody to get good clips like they did yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. There were a lot of people recording yesterday, and so they may have
ruining it for all of us.
Mechanism. The other idea is that they just needed to move the practice. I mean, they needed to move to the other field and have more wear and tear on that field and let the other field have a bit of a break.
Yeah.
So maybe they're going to do this practice to practice, maybe on Saturday, or obviously Saturday, they're going to be in Gibbs Stadium, but maybe on Monday we find out they're closer. But it's either way, there's logic to it. I'm not angry with them. Obviously, it's irritating and frustrating, but at the end of the day, they had to do it. I mean, there's a reason
they knew that me and Greg were coming, so they decided
it was like they said they knew Greg and Cody were coming, so we're just going to run screens and running plays.
Yes.
Now, and Greg and Greg's over there like, I need something to change. Hey, all he does is say this and what has he always said about Bryce Young? I just want to see it. I just want to see it. He drove all the way here to see it, and then they threw a screen.
I will say, I did see it from Bryce today. I saw a few really good deep passes. I saw one really deep pass that was not a good pass at all, but the receiver caught the ball, so everybody's gonna say it was a great pass, but it was a horrible pass.
Oh, well, I wouldn't call it horrible. If you catch,
when
it's
the
not
receiver has to
horrible.
dive for the ball and barely catches it, I would say it's if he hadn't caught that ball, we would say it's a horrible pass.
Run faster.
Okay, maybe. But I did see a lot of good stuff from Bryce Young today, which is what I want to see. Very quick release. I was very surprised at how quick that release was. Between him and looking at everybody else in the field, like I noticed that when we had, and Cody, I hate to do this, when your boy
Matt Corral
was in the field, he looked lost. And I know he's playing with the third string guys, so maybe that's something to do with it. But Bryce Young, you saw him snap the ball, and I could watch him check his progressions 1, 2, 3, 4.
He was decisive.
Maybe a second and a half.
He's decisive.
To do it.
Or Bryce Young, you mean?
Yeah. Bryce Young was.
Matt Corral, doing a lot of double clutching, a lot of pump faking. He had some throws in the flat, but overall, there just hasn't been a lot from him. And again, I do like the fact that we're going to see him a lot during the preseason. I think it's still too early to judge him,
100%.
but I'm right now. He has not been impressive through 2 days of practice, and I'm a big fan of his. So if I'm saying it, I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you saw about what I saw yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, it wasn't bad. Like he wasn't throwing into the other team's hands, right? Which is good. You don't want him to be throwing interceptions, but he just wasn't throwing the ball. Either. Like he was just holding on. He was
hesitant.
He was double, and a couple of times I think the double clutch was intended. I think it was intended to be able to, mislead the defense.
Get them to bite
the majority of the time, it was that I think he was waiting for a guy to get open. And I was telling Greg this, and I said, if we're ever going to see Matt Corral get out of the purgatory that he is now stuck in, and that is going to be a backup for his career, he's got to take chances, and he's got to be able to elevate himself because nobody's going to put him in the prime position to show his talent.
Right.
He's got to be able to go out there and do that regardless of what his situation is, and he hasn't done that.
This is what outsiders, this is what all bubble players face. This is what late round draft picks, undrafted free agents face all the time. And it turns out when you're just not a first round draft pick, And maybe there's some in the second round you get a little more latitude. Right. But after the first 2, maybe 3, you get a hair, is that you are a guy on the outside trying to scrap and claw to find a way into the group and into the club. But the other thing I think that comes back to this, like you said, it's not about Matt Corral being bad. It's about how good Bryce Young looks. And it's and today wasn't even his best, better of the 2 days, right? Yeah. But what I think is like before, when I was young, I grew up driving beater cars, right? Like just my first car was a 1984 Toyota Corolla. My second car, a 1985 Toyota Corolla, went up one year, right? Yeah, and I had ridden in it at one point in a car seat, right? So it was like my mom's car for like 16 years. I get it later. I used to, when you drive a beater car, you say this: a car is a car. It gets you from point A to point B. Cars are cars, and this and that and this and that. And then one day you drive a luxury car, and you're like, holy shit, this is luxurious. There really is a difference. Yeah. And Bryce Young is the luxury car, and Matt Corral is a Honda Civic.
Hey, shout out to 2 fans in the stands here.
2 fans in the stand. Check them out on YouTube. They came to Monster Sub today. They were out and at training camp today.
From Dubai to CC3.
Yeah, man. You know that's
8,000 miles for this moment. Screw Bryce Young. Came to C3.
We met him today. He came over to say hi, introduce himself, and we're going to try to fit him into one of the shows. And maybe Tony said he's going to go over there and do a show for them. So
go check them out on YouTube. 2 fans in the stand, man. A rising tide lifts all boats, folks. Is continue to collaborate, continue to talk. The more chatter, the more talk about the Carolina Panthers, the better. And that is about building the fan experience. That's why we're interested. Look, that's why we're here right now. We're here at Monster Sub with a Panther fan, right? How about this? How crazy and bizarre is it to be from New Jersey to move to Spartanburg, and before you even moved to Spartanburg randomly, you chose to be a Panther fan in 1995 out of an expansion team. You had 2 choices. You could have been a Jags fan. You could have been a Panther fan. You decided to be the better choice. Then now we're doing a podcast at his restaurant.
Yeah, man.
It's bizarre.
Dude, that's awesome.
And he is the quintessential Italian. It's like you can't make it up. The name is not made up, folks. It's not a shtick.
I don't know if anyone can see, but there's pictures of the Sopranos on the wall. We got Godfather. Yeah, this is Italiano.
It might be a front.
This is a
we're helping him launder money, right?
He said you can't make those jokes when
Don't do that.
If I disappear, folks, disappear. No. All right. So let's jump back to practice. This is going to be something we haven't talked about in any of the days, and that is the kicking. Yeah. This is the first year ever since I've been doing this podcast where there's only one field goal kicker.
I mean, I don't think they need to.
No, there's no competition. Yeah. There's no extra guy. There's no a guy. There wasn't even a guy to just stand there and be like, because we don't want to overuse Panero. It's just Panero for the dinero.
Here's the reason. Here's my belief is why I put that in his head. He only had 2 missed field goals last year, and they happened to be in the worst situations possible against Atlanta. But those were his only 2 misses.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So at the or the best, because had he made those, we would
be before Bryce still.
So really, we should be thanking Eddie Pinheiro for his inability to make those kicks.
But then does that mean we have to thank Keith Taylor for letting Mike Evans just burn him?
Yeah, I think so.
We got to thank Matt Rule for being a fool.
I'll never do it. No, I'll never do it. You cannot make me.
CK, like I was just thinking the exact same thing. Is imagine what a confidence booster is for a kicker when you know you have no competition. You may have a backup. You may sign somebody just in case you get injured, but you're our guy. Like, do you think Gotskowski or the guys from what's the guy in Justin Tucker?
Yeah.
Do you think he's ever worried about his job?
Never.
No.
I think it's a great point, but
to be able to play the game, So I think it's a great idea. And you're right. He missed 2 last year. It sucks the 2 that he missed, but that's a pretty good ratio.
Let's keep in mind, he has taken a job of a guy who was a pretty good place kicker for us. Like, think about
Who
that.
was it? I don't even
Zane
remember.
Gonzalez.
Oh, Zane Gonzalez.
He got
That's right.
injured 2 times warming up on the sideline at the beginning of the year, 2 years
Remember
in a row.
his groin exploded?
Yeah. And so, and to be, obviously, you don't wish anybody's job to be taken away, but Eddie Pinheiro came in here on a last moment's notice, and in 1 year was able to turn around, and all of a sudden he's the guy, right? He became the guy, and Zane Gonzalez isn't a Panther anymore.
Poor Zane. His groin exploded and it wasn't a happy ending.
No.
Dude, that doesn't sound like like a happy ending.
No, not at all. Not at
That
all.
when you're growing.
Okay. All right. So let's get back. Is this, the defense was making plays today?
Yeah.
It was a lot better than it was yesterday.
By the way, we had 2 more super chats.
Nice.
Charlotte Sports One said have to give you one of those shirts. So people are already pumped about
The year of our
QB 20 C3. Those are going to be fire.
You should put "He has risen" where the name is over his back.
No, I think you.
We can only push it so far.
I
Like
think
you go out. If you do that, if we did that, you go out the first game and get struck by lightning.
No.
It's not even an injury. It's a literal lightning that comes down. Bryce Young is our metaphorical manna.
Yeah.
I know. And again, we don't want to, we don't.
Sent from heaven to nourish our fandom.
This guy's on a roll today.
Come on, man.
I mean, this keeper he's just saying, keep setting them up, Tony. I'll keep knocking them down.
Yeah, you throw softballs. I'll hit a grand slam. Man. Come on.
All right. So we were out at training camp today, day 2, and we'll be back on Saturday. Right. Saturday is the get together event. Greg has decided just to be a good parent. What kind of
Don't worry.
Loser.
Don't worry. I took care of your daughter. You're fine. She's not in the picture anymore.
Don't worry. We got muscles to do it.
Yeah.
We got muscles cousin to do it.
Yeah.
You'll be free. There's nothing to do.
Don't worry about it. Insurance checks in the mail.
So we'll be back on Saturday and have a good time. If you guys are coming to Spartanburg, I really suggest, particularly if you just don't want bland sandwiches.
Oh, dude.
Don't avoid I'm not going to name names because you just need to come to
The national chains.
Yeah,
Avoid the
avoid the
national
chains and come to a real, like a Yankee deli. Like it's a deli that I bring my grandma here and the peppers, put the peppers on the sandwich. These are real peppers.
Yeah.
It's like, so the cold cuts, my grandma would say, these cold cuts are fantastic. This isn't the Food Line cold cut. Not a Food Line cold cut.
Muscle said, why go to one of these national franchises that have a bunch of angry 19-year-olds that don't give a damn about what they're doing?
You just got an angry mafia guy.
But Subway has a meat
But he's
cutter.
nice to his customers.
Yeah.
Subway has a meat cutter now.
He's been doing this.
We talked about the freshness of this. I mean, I was telling me and Tony, we left yesterday and we just couldn't stop talking about how good the food was. It's just, again, I know this is a Panthers podcast, but Muscles Marinara, a long supporter of the show, was kind enough to let us come here, set up, do the podcast, knowing we needed to do an on-location show, and he was able to, give us a venue to do that. But
and he even gave me a jersey.
I'm not telling you this because of any other reason than it is legitimately a good sub. Like any sub I've had 2 so far. This Buffalo one is delicious. I had the Terminator yesterday. You had
I had the Don.
The Don today.
Yeah.
And so and Cody's got himself a Philly over here. He's ready.
Yeah,
to
man.
Right,
Onions and peppers. I'm pumped,
but
bro.
it's fresh. Everything is just
It is
premium
4 miles.
ingredients.
It's 4 miles away from Wofford,
Yeah.
from training camp, and it takes about 10 minutes because of the going through town. Go to Monster Subs and Grub. Get yourself a sandwich. Derek call it a hoagie, right? But here, let's get back to training camp now. As in the year of 20C3, our quarterback, man, and we have been going through. Look at this. He's going to bring out some cannolis.
Man.
Yeah, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take this cannoli. I'm
What
going
a
to go.
guy.
I'm starting with
What
this.
a guy.
So-
I had this yesterday, and I'd never had a cannoli before.
He's
I had to eat it
he's a
for a
real
minute.
Southerner.
I had to eat it. I had to take a minute to eat it, dude. It was like it took.
Yeah, it's
It
rich.
was
They're
rich, but it
delicious.
was
You're gonna have it with some
delicious.
coffee.
They're delicious. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
so
would
you
be
have it some
incredible.
coffee here. But now, all right. So getting back to camp is again really not the most actually this is when we were watching this and I was upset. I was internally disappointed because we were all together and it was the time. I just wanted the fireworks. I wanted we had such a great spot, and it was just the opposite of what I really wanted to happen. And we were sitting there going, oh, and we were making fun. People were making fun. Aaron Duncan would saying, look, because Cody's here, they're just throwing slants. But
hey, they're saying that we're frozen. The audio is coming through, but we are frozen.
It might be. You want to turn my camera off and on? It might be my camera turned off.
Okay. Talk about this while I do that.
Okay.
Is talk about how things picked up.
Yeah.
While it started off slow and it looked like dink and dunk, it did pick up as we went on.
No, it really did. I think I'd mentioned that whenever I first got there about how I was excited to see Bryce Young. I want to see what he's got to offer here. And the first, 10 plays they ran were all passes underneath, quick slants, 5 yard screens. I was like, all right, that's impressive. You're doing a good job. But I want to see the deep ball, and not even the deep ball. I want to see a 30-yard pass put on point.
No,
and
just turn my camera on.
He was able to do it. But no, it was all about that for me. Was seeing Bryce Young
on the top,
be the guy he wants to be now.
Slide, yeah.
The next thing I need to see from Bryce Young, and I'm not going to get to see this this season, is I need to see him take a big hit and get up and do it again.
Yeah, you need to have a little faith
in the NFL. I need to see that, and I'll feel a little better once I see it. And I don't wish that he gets knocked. I don't hope that he gets blindsided and somebody slams him. But I want to see him take an NFL hit and get up and play more NFL football after that.
No, I got to hit.
And they're still saying turn Greg's microphone up.
I don't know which one.
Maybe I just need to talk closer to it.
You're going to get a little here. Hold on. Give us just a second, folks. We're reloading.
Whoa!
First show on location.
I'm staring at my face.
There's probably going to be an echo on that.
Are they looking at me?
Here we go. Now we're good.
Now it changed to my face. I feel like my face.
Go ahead and take me. Yeah. He's on my iPad.
We're back.
But yeah, like you were saying, the first few plays, it was kind of boring. I was looking at it and I was wondering kind of what they were going through, short passes, slants. And I don't know if it was what he was reading or what the play was called for, but you're right. As the day went on and they got further and further into running reps of the ones, I saw more 15, 20, 30-yard passes. And for the majority of the passes, they looked really good.
Yeah. And so, again, this is all going to be stacked more and more for the offense than it is for the defense. But today we finally got to see the defense make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been impressed so far. I mean, again, there's not much to go by. I did want to mention something before I forget about it. We're talking about Laviska and how we might need to up our expectations, just seeing how they're going to use him. Another guy that I think that we're sleeping on, Chuba Hubbard, baby. Dude,
sleeping on him. Have you seen his name?
They've been giving the ball.
He had a couple runs today.
Yeah, today and yesterday. And by the way, when you look at Chuba, he's put on some muscle.
Yeah.
He's been reading Twitter.
The only thing about the running today, and we pointed this out when we were there, is I don't know how hard they're going. They're not in pads. I think the running plays were more for find the hole, hit the hole, because every single running play, the running back broke through and ran to the end zone. It's well, that's not going to happen in real life.
And that's the thing. So, it's the least exciting play when you're watching training camp. Their entire goal is to make sure that they're hitting the holes, the right gaps that they're supposed to be hitting, that they're blocking the right people that they're supposed to be blocking. And we see them burst through this, pile of people oh my gosh, but in all reality, those guys are getting hands on him, and one of those guys most likely would have tackled him. Now, there's probably a few that they would have been able to get, take him down, but you just don't really know whether it's a successful play or not because you can't really see the real impact. You can see when a passing play is successful or not, and you can maybe make a judgment of whether it's just because the player was, pulling up or not. But the running plays are just impossible. We're going to find out more in the season, obviously, but. I would challenge that. I think I saw maybe a few times that Chuba Hubbard was out there, but I think the majority of the time it was Laviska and it was Miles Sanders.
I saw Miles Sanders run the ball. I saw Laviska Shenault get the ball out of the backfield, but maybe on swing passes and things like this. I don't know if I necessarily saw direct handoffs. Again, it was really hard. The problem is when they're on that far field is that you're trying to figure out, you're looking for what's happening first, and then you're trying to figure out who did it.
Right.
And then when they move, if they don't give you the right, turn their back to you at the right moment, they then get swallowed up among a bunch of, washed out among other jerseys. So I don't remember seeing him.
Yeah.
I don't even know what his number is.
I mean, I saw some clips of him yesterday.
30,
I saw him
that's right.
today. And listen, I think a lot of NFL teams do the running back by committee. Instead of choosing to have one bell cow, they're going to run into the ground. I think we have not seen the last of Chuba. I think a lot of people are far too hard on Chuba. I think he's a good runner between the tackles.
Yeah.
If you want to pass the ball to the running back, do it to Miles Sanders or Blackshear, but let Chuba just be a strong physical runner through the A and B gap, and let's roll.
As we continue and just flip back to the defense today, right? It's yesterday, and we kept talking over and over yesterday about how it's stacked in favor of the offense, right? It's just it's designed for that moment. But today we had a CJ Henderson pick, which we've learned from Frank Wright, which is a miscommunication. We had a Brandon Smith pick.
Yeah.
That would have been a pick 6 too. In the game.
And so now is that while the defense isn't just able to tackle, they made some plays today. And even if it is a miscommunication, they made the play.
And more notable is the lack of participation in the team drills from J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson.
Yeah.
They both were on the sideline the entire time while these guys were out there. They didn't rotate. Everybody was always behind the line, and JC and Dante were standing beside each other on the sideline. So they're clearly ramping them up. I don't think it's an injury. I don't think they're injured or anything like that, or they're hindering that they're not performing well, so they're not playing. It has everything to do with them being overly cautious to two guys who have been unfortunately injured every single year they've been in the league.
Yeah, like Tony said, bubble wrap.
Yeah.
I mean, they're being conservative. They're the two best corners on the team, bar none. And you want to have them down the stretch when you didn't last year and haven't the last 2 years in a row.
Can we talk about Jeremy Chin working out with the cornerbacks?
Oh, yeah.
We were discussing that earlier, working out strictly with the cornerbacks, like in that position. So have they found a spot for him, do you think?
That would be the shocker of the year if they
play nickel corner.
corner.
Where is like Eric Rowe? I almost don't see some of the people that are on the team.
Right. I think there's a part of it that's just they are trying to try him out at multiple different positions. I think they're going to.
But he was with the corners yesterday. Now that you bring it up,
but the corners were also with the safeties yesterday too.
Yes.
You saw Xavier Woods,
but he's not with the linebackers.
Right, he's not with the linebackers.
That's a good point. Yep.
But
that's what I mean.
I think we wait and see what happens Saturday. I think we wait and see what happens when they put the pads on. They may just be doing, instead of having him do different things every single day, or doing something like a different thing every single time they do a new rep. I think they might just be trying to say, hey, listen, let's see what this works out here. And, they may be trying to use his versatility. If he's going to be essentially changing over to nickelback, that would be a shocker to, I think, everybody here.
The nickel corner is a position I feel like is changing somewhat in the NFL.
I feel like it's more important every year.
Yeah.
But I feel like it used to be dominated by guys who were, I felt like smaller, like shorter corners and things like this. Yeah. But now the nickel corner, I guess because tight ends have become so important in the league that they're
so
going to, that now maybe that's the kind of guy that you're trying to, find a bigger version to hang with those, because you think of like a Dante Jackson going up against some big tight end.
Darnell Washington.
Darnell Washington. That's a great example. So I wonder if that has to do with it. And again, Jeremy Chin is one of those players who's just a conundrum. It's like, how do you crack the code on this player? And if you would have asked me that after his rookie year, how do you crack the code on Jeremy Chin? I'd say just get him in there. I think it's almost crazy that he's become more complicated of a player throughout the time.
I don't think so. He's become less complicated, or he's just been utilized. He had his best season, and they decided to change everything he did the next year. Like That's in what world would you like? I could understand let's look at Reddick, for instance. Son Reddick, for the first 4 years of his entire time,
He
was a linebacker, and they were playing him in a bad position. You should have changed him up, and you should have done something differently. Now, Jeremy Chin, his first year, they had used him in a versatile, a lot of different versatile ways, but they mainly he was in that linebacker and up close to the line of scrimmage, stop and runs, and he did his best. He did an incredible job in that first rookie year. And then ever since then, they've moved him into a different position that he isn't playing the same way. It doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense to me to take what he was doing good and remove him from that and move him back just because he has the ability to run fast.
Well, we're all interested in what the way to fix it, how to use him and how to deploy him. But if that is what he does well, why is he with the corners?
I mean, again, it's nickel corner.
Yeah.
So
I think that it can't. I mean, if we said Jeremy Chin's going to be the nickel corner 2 months ago, what would you have said?
I mean, wanting to play him up closer to the line of scrimmage, I would say, that's what they want to do. They want to use him more in that hybrid linebacker, corner, safety role. It's like a blend between the three of them.
Do you think it would be mainly to be able to disguise blitzes and
100%? And that nickel blitz is something that I know Ejiro Rivera used to great effect with the Broncos. Yeah. So and he's the perfect player to do it. He's fast, he's aggressive. This is going to be a big time year for Jeremy Chin, because if you look at the guys that we know we have to pay, we're about to pay Brian Burns, Derek Brown, J.C. Horn. I think Jeremy Chin is the odd man out in that group of premier defensive players. So this year is probably more important for him than almost anyone else on our defense. Him and Derek Brown is a very big year for the both.
Well, yeah, financially, about that business, Brown is going to make some money this year.
Yeah,
this is Chin's last year, right? Like this is
under contract. He's in a contract. Yeah, he'll be a free agent next year, right? Second round pick. You get 4 years with them. 4 years, year 4. Yeah. And now Derek Brown, did they pick up his 5th-year option?
Yeah, they did. They didn't pick up C.J. Henderson, so this is C.J. Henderson's last year, deservedly so.
Yeah.
Or he's a free agent. Now, it's not always bad. Like last year, he's the defensive tackle for the Washington Commanders, Ron Payne, something Payne maybe.
Daron Payne.
And they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, and then he went and balled out and got a contract.
Yeah.
Chase Young didn't pick up his 5th-year option, and he could potentially so if he goes out and has 16 sacks and plays like he did his rookie year, he could go be making a ton of money. So it's not always a terrible thing for these players, but it does mean this is that the team is interested in saying this. You got to prove it rather than us just knowing that we're trying to find a way to rent you for a little bit longer or find a way to get this deal done. Now, as we continue to go and talk about this 2023 training camp, what do you want to see as this team? Like when we come back obviously when we come back on Saturday, you want to see more.
Yeah.
We want to see, what do you want to see? Closer.
Right.
But
see the players at all.
Yeah. I mean, not have to use binoculars maybe, but we will be at Gibbs Stadium on Saturday for what is it called, TK?
The Back Together Saturday.
Back Together Saturday.
That's a NFL-wide thing, so there's going to be probably a lot of different things regarding that. When we get there, they're going to have entertainment, all that stuff. But the things that are important to people listening today that are going to be able to matter are going to be the practice, and we're all going to be on one field. And this time, there is no reason to worry about having to worry how far away the practice is taking place. They're going to be in front of us, and it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah, it's going to be at a literal stadium, so you get like stadium seating.
Yeah.
Now, what do you want to see in a less joking manner, but as this team, you get to come back Saturday, Cody.
Yeah.
What do you want to see improve, change, or learn about this team?
Well, I want to see more Terrence Marshall Jr. I think we're all kind of disappointed that he's been pretty much absent. He had a couple plays, but yesterday he wasn't even getting reps with the ones, I don't believe.
I think he rotates. I think it's a rotation because Shi Smith wasn't there at the ones today.
Yeah, DJ Chark has been very impressive, I feel like, but Terrence Marshall Jr. I want to see more from. And again, to the degree that we're able to see the offensive line formation, to me, that's one of the biggest question marks going into the season is, who's going to be left guard, who's going to be right guard. We don't know yet what the timetable for Corbett's return is. So
And he's on the pup, so he's not going to. And
there's
two
Zavala's on the pup,
yeah,
too.
Yeah, so you're going to see K. Mays, you're going to see Brady Christensen. And this was impossible for us to tell what the offensive line and defensive line was doing today. It was so far away. And even if you were in that corner spot, that I think the way they were on the field on the other side. So they picked the farthest point from eyeballs to practice today. Like even if we would have been sitting in a better location, it still would have been far away. Yeah. Right. But what we did
and in the sun.
Yeah, and in the sun. But what we did see that CK brought up is at one point I thought yesterday's practice was shorter.
Yeah.
Right. Is yesterday's practice ended at like 11:45.
Right.
Now it depends on like we didn't time all the drills and things. So there might have been a way that like they got slower start or some different things. But today's practice went longer. And at one point I thought it was over. And all the entire offensive line walked off.
Yeah.
And we had a cool discussion about this, is that talking about the heat, the fatigue, and the big boys. CK, you brought this up, is that in a game, yes, you are exerting yourself for 3 hours, right? But you have the opportunity of the defense to take over, for you to go sit, get some oxygen, get some water and
TV
hydrate.
Breaks,
Things like that.
Quarters, halftime, timeouts. You have a lot of different things that contribute to you being able to catch your breath a little bit. That on top of the fact that the heat is ridiculous out there.
Yeah.
It makes sense why these guys are needing to maybe ease them into the practice. And they talked about that. Shaq actually talked about that in his interview. He was saying that he was asked about how this staff compares to the other staffs that he's been on. He's like, I'm not going to comment on what other staffs did. I'm not going to do that. But I can tell you, this staff knows how to take care of its players. He's like, we're starting earlier. We're getting out of here earlier. They're not leaving us out there in the heat for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, or however long, previous regimes might have been doing that. He's like, we're able to actually breathe and recuperate. And I imagine Monday with pads is probably going to be even more conservative with how long they're on the field.
It shows you too just how much of experience plays into this. And we talked about the man who will not be named anymore, right? And about how, is the questions that jump from college to the NFL and things like this. But this staff, and not to dwell on him, but this staff has so much football, NFL experience on it from both players, like a player standpoint. Like our coaches are experienced coaches, but they were also experienced players at one point. And I feel like that's just translating into the design of how things done, maybe the efficiency of practices, the choices that are made, things like that. But when the offensive line, when they all walked off and we're like, oh, is practice over? And they just went to the tent, not the medical tent. Well, I guess it's technically the medical tent in some way, where it doesn't have but they went and got in the shade, and you just expected them to be like getting liquid IVs or whatever, like the drink or electrolyte, whatever. Here's a banana.
And they just did that 7-on-7, and that's where they actually aired it out. We talked about yesterday, and I know we've touched on Bryce already, but they didn't air it out but one time. Bryce had 4 deep throws today, 4 attempts at the very least, maybe even 5. Yeah. He had one that was a slight overthrow to Thielen. There was another one that was a little deeper that was actually a really good throw. I think it might have been to Chark, but he had to throw it a little shorter because there was a defender obviously too far down there. And then there was the
Mingo diving catch.
And the Chark one that you guys say happened.
That he doesn't believe it happened. It did happen.
Pull the tape.
Well, how do we continue now? So I think that Cody brought up a lot of good points about how we want to continue to see some of these players just get involved.
Yeah, it's more of them.
When you get here, when you come back on Saturday, Cody, and we actually get to see the offensive line, what will you be looking for?
Oh man, so I'm gonna be looking at what kind of run scheme. I feel like we're gonna be doing a lot of power run which I feel like we have the type of running backs to be able to do that. And I also think with the type of passing attack that we're going to have, it's going to be pivotal to set up our run first. So, we have to, it's like bread and butter football. We have to be big and physical on the line. We have to run the football effectively. When we do pass the ball, take advantage of those 10 to 15-yard shots, which is where Adam Thielen is going to thrive. And then, and Jonathan Mingo for that matter. And then that's going to open up the ability for you to take shots downfield. And I've said for months now, I'm not ready to put Bryce, to pigeonhole him as this dink and dunk quarterback. I kind of think that as he finds more of a rhythm, he's going to let it rip and push the ball downfield.
He's thrown it downfield. It's just, I think all these things can be true at the same time. Is like a distributor, like a guy that can dish it out and go through his progressions, can get all the receivers involved, which a lot of times when you're saying all the receivers involved, that is a middle of the field short passing attack. Because not every guy has the ability to go 30 yards before you're getting sacked. So I think it's just you're going to see a player that can do a lot of everything. And that's why he was drafted number 1. I'm going to give the mic now to CK here, and we'll start with Vol Guy's question here. Vol Guy, who is a super fan, a C3 super fan. You can be a super fan by just hitting that join button for $1.99. And guess what? We got a new emoji that Greg doesn't even know about. Yeah.
Is it a blanket?
Yeah. Well, it's called wet blanket.
Okay.
But I couldn't get a wet blanket like emoji that looked good enough that you knew exactly what it is. So it's a dripping T-shirt on a clothesline with a blanket underneath.
That works.
So he asked this is how does Mingo look?
I mean, Mingo, I think he's been pretty impressive. And the fact that he has maintained nothing in the ones rotation, like the people that they're alternating is Terrace Marshall and Shi Smith and not Mingo, tells me all I need to know about Mingo's pedigree that he has coming into this. They said nothing but positive things about him. Reich has said nothing but positive things. And when we look at that deep pass that Greg says was a horrible throw, that was a fantastic catch, like diving catch that could have easily just been an incompletion, but it was very good. He caught up to the ball, and it ended up being a very, very, very positive play, and that's going to make Bryce look good. It's going to make Mingo look good, but Mingo, I think he's got the chops, and I'm worried that means that TMJ might again be having to struggle a little bit to get time on the field.
I feel like, and we'll let Greg chime in on this one first. CK said this is that when we were talking about Matt Corral, is he's just in a position where he has to take chances, where he has to distinguish himself and overcome adverse circumstances. It's just unfortunately a bad hand that was dealt because of an injury. Oh, actually, it's kind of a two-part. We'll start with one, and I'm coming back to it. Greg, you mentioned this, is that if Matt Corral doesn't get hurt last year, this is
his team.
This is his team.
Or not.
Yeah.
I mean, like
if he doesn't get hurt, he played a lot more last year than
and
he
Right.
right. And you know if he can do it,
Mm-hmm.
or you believe he can become an NFL starting quarterback. Right. Now the climb. The climb would have been steep enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The trail would have been difficult for Matt Corral under a team that was coached by the man who will not be named. Mm-hmm. And then also, like all the circumstances of just being a team that wasn't successful. Yeah, that's a steep climb already. But now he's got like 3 plays to do it.
Right. Yeah, I wonder, and we mentioned this earlier, we traded up in the 3rd round to get Matt Corral. We were a quarterback hungry team. We were looking for the answer. Thirsty team, yeah. And I feel like that had he not got injured, that we may be looking at the Matt Corral show right now. No Bryce Young. I don't know if that would have been better or not, but my question was, with us being the quarterback thirsty team and trading up for him, where do we think he would have gone otherwise? Like, do we think Matt Corral would have been taken in the 3rd round, or he'd have fallen to the 5th or 6th round? Like, does anybody else see him as a starter other than us who was thirsty?
This is a great segue to the next part of the question here. And this is what irritates me. There's 3 people in our history that I think exemplify this. I'm going to put it in 3 names that you're not going to really love right now. Devin Funchess, Matt Corral,
Salad boy,
and now Terrace Marshall Jr. all players who you traded up for, who were not necessarily needed to be traded up. We did trade up for Terrace Marshall, right? Or did he fall?
No,
I thought we
Terrace Marshall-
traded up a little bit, and he was
No, he was the
second
second round pick, and yeah, it was fairly early.
I just feel now we're hitting the point, particularly where Mingo from day one looks like he belongs.
Yeah,
Right. He looks like he's like, man, this is a guy that right away, no developmental time. Is he going to come in and be your like a star this year?
and he said during his press conference that he went out to California and got in some one-on-one time with Bryce throwing the ball and draining it. So that's the fact that they're already making an effort to do that. That's awesome.
I feel Terrace Marshall Jr. Sadly, I hate to say this because just a month ago or 3 weeks ago, I'm thinking he could be a breakout player this year. All of a sudden, he could really flourish with a great quarterback and a veteran with Adam Thielen beside him and Shark taking the top off. And this is a big body guy that can do a lot of everything really well and go down. But now he feels like one of these guys who has to make an impression.
Yeah. Chat is reminding us that we traded back for Terrace Marshall.
Traded.
Yeah,
back.
that was the year that Federer kept on moving back, acquiring more picks, and Terrace Marshall Jr. fell to us.
I will say the Mingo and Bryce Young thing, making the connection, is a really, really good deal because that's a beneficial for both of them. For Bryce Young to have a guy coming in the same year he is that has talent and make him look better, and the same way with Mingo to have a good guy throwing to him to make it works for both of them. It reminds me of AJ Green and Andy Dalton type deal. To be honest, not comparing Andy Dalton to Bryce Young,
because
but
they're not too far, right? Because I believe AJ Green was like a top.
He was like a
5
6th or 7th pick, I think.
Top 10 pick. Then you got, Dalton was actually a deep pick.
He was in the second round,
But
middle second round.
you're seeing a lot of examples throughout the NFL or in the past where quarterbacks have flourished, young quarterbacks have flourished when they have a real weapon, right? And you can go Dalton and AJ Green, who's on the team right now.
Yeah.
You can go Jamar Chase and
Burrow.
Burrow. And the idea, if Mingo all of a sudden becomes a player, and you know what? There's always a player in an NFL draft where you go, oh, this class is weak. Oh, they're not a first round talent. And then you come back 3 years later and you look at it and they are a freaking star, right? And so look, is that this draft was weak at wide receiver, or at least, I would say a weak wide receiver class. And at the very, if that's a poor way of saying it, because you're saying, hey, there's talent in there, they were an undersized class. They weren't very fast. Yeah,
like the run, the combine, that was one of the biggest.
They were more quick than they were fast.
That was one of the one of the biggest headlines of the combine is that the wide receiver class was extremely disappointing from the 40.
They're all 6'1" and under.
We are frozen again on
Frozen in time. Hold on, let me refresh.
It might be because this thing's not plugged in.
It's not plugged in?
The power's not on.
Oh.
But it was working, so I wasn't going to say anything.
Is this it?
White chocolate.
Can they hear
espresso.
us?
Yeah. Hey, chat. Tell us if you can hear us. We know the video is froze, but
There we go.
yeah,
All right, we're back.
There we go.
We're back. Audio's good. Now it's a blue screen. Now we're here. We're back. Don't worry. You didn't come here. Well, you might have come here to look at Cody's beautiful face. You didn't come here for mine. You came here for his voice. The voice that makes him moist. Shame these guys. There's 114 people in there. Let's get some thumbs up.
Hey, this is proof that this is my real voice now. You guys are all here to witness this, and I have no soundboard to mess with. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, you guys have come here to talk about the Carolina Panthers training camp. You've showed up, you've showed out, you've been here talking in chat, and those that haven't, I have one thing to say to all you absolute freaks that haven't hit that like button yet. subscriber shame.
Hey, man, thank you so much for everybody who came out to Monster Subs today. But not only is this isn't how advertising works, folks. It's not just a dollar for dollar thing right here. If you come to Spartanburg on Saturday or over the next couple of weeks or in the future, put it in your brain, imprint it in your brain. There's a monster on the loose. Monster Subs and Grub. Great food right here. Help support local business is one thing. My brother-in-law owns a restaurant. My little sister owns a restaurant, and it's small. Well, business is tough. People underestimate this in that because there are so much examples of success in this world where you see like Uber success, and you're like, oh, Elon Musk is a billionaire and he's wacky right now, changing Twitter to X and all this stuff. But if you really think about this podcast, do you know how hard it is to make a buck in this world?
Yeah.
It's difficult. And so we've got to band together. That's what this is about, locking arms together and supporting each other. You support the show by smashing the thumbs up button, by subscribing, and just giving us your time. Man, I can't tell you this, is that you can't put a price on someone's time. And I am amazed at how many people listen to this podcast. I don't even know if I'd listen to my own podcast for 4 hours. So, I mean, and people tune in every Tuesday night. They stay up.
Tuesday and Friday, we do 4-hour shows.
Yeah.
Wait until this post game. The post game shows.
Oh, yeah.
Jay Stubbs says Greg could be a Game of Thrones extra. Hey,
I'm down.
Jon Snow's, they got a new one coming out for that. So
Oh, they got a bunch coming out,
There
yeah.
you go. Hopefully they'll film it in Wilmington. We'll get you in there.
There you go.
I don't know if that's gonna win.
So as we go back, as we continue now, we were talking about Terrence Marshall Jr. and really it's time to make plays, right? And it's unfortunate. And here is that, and what's the craziest part about this to me is the one time moment I start to come around on Terrence Marshall Jr.
Yeah, now he's
disappeared because this is Cody told me. Terrence Marshall Jr. is the guy. This guy's got the talent. He does all of this. And I said this. I told the old Greg, I need to see it.
I was going to say, that's what happens when you put faith in something before you see it.
But the problem
You know,
is, like,
you get disappointed. Yeah.
There were some great catches he made today.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow, I couldn't see it. That wasn't my just.
hey, listen,
now
you got
it's
those
not that I
sharp
didn't
blinders
see it.
that I have.
Couldn't see it.
We actually might have missed it.
Yeah. It was way over there.
Yeah.
So, and he was the guy with the hoodie. It was hard to miss, which, by the way, how insane is that he's out there in that heat wearing a hoodie?
One guy had long sleeves on.
Yeah.
I saw people with sweatpants and long sleeve shirts on
That's
there today.
idiot kid.
Crazy.
Doing
Yeah.
too much.
Doing too
far
much.
too much.
Doing too much. And thank God we had Cody today because we got the tent. We had the VIP treatment. We are going to have to reach out to the Carolina Panthers and say this is when we get here on Saturday, we're going to have to find a way to get Cody up there to get this Bryce Young jersey signed.
It was
the access. Now they were very accommodating today for us. It wasn't like it was inaccessible by any means.
Well,
But
the practice itself wasn't inaccessible, but the ability to actually go down and get any type of autograph is 1,000% inaccessible from what I could tell.
yeah,
Well, what I was saying on the way here to this place, David Temper needs to hurry up with that practice facility, man.
Oh, how about this? We got some not inside information. So CK and I are here through Saturday, but we leave on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so tomorrow is a day of nothing, right? There's no practice. So we're like, this is where we're going to go we're going to do some stuff for the show. Like we're going to get some B-roll. That's a fancy term for just random shots, right? And I told CK, I said, I wish Rock Hill wasn't that far away so we could go just take the drone because CK is a licensed drone pilot. If anybody needs any, contractual work here, get this guy into that business, continue. But I said, let's take the drone. I wish we could take the drone out and go look at what this rubble, like this. I felt like it was going to be Greg, like something from like The Walking Dead, like ivy
Just growing up this
And so CK actually goes, hey, well, why not? I mean, he said, how far is it? It's like an hour and a half. He said, we don't really have anything to do on Friday. Why don't we go do it?
Yeah.
So then I'm into it now because I was like, I didn't want to drag him up here and do all this because he's in on it. So we were hanging out, by the way, last night. We're staying at the Marriott in Spartanburg, and
What room?
come and drop off some money, some gifts. I'm married. I can't say that. But here we go. We were sitting we were in all the media. David Newton, Joe By the way, I know you guys like to make fun of David Newton. David Newton's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
He's the best.
We had David Newton, the GOAT. We had Joe Person, the wordsmith. We had Cool Cat Mike K, who might even stop by still. Cool Cat Mike K. That's my nickname that I gave him. We were a part of the media. In fact, they were looking at us. No, I'm just kidding. So we asked, and Nick Carboni, who's the cool, actually, I call him Nice Nick now because he's just completely the nicest dude to us every time. And I said, what's the deal with Rock Hill? He said,
They just blew it up.
they blew it up yesterday. We missed it by a day.
No.
We missed it by a day. They literally blew it up.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I know. So now it can't be a Halloween Express anymore.
But I gotta tell you, I love Spartanburg. This is a cool place. It's my first time being here. But I wouldn't mind a training facility in Charlotte that's like brand new, state of the art.
I heard they're building one in Greenville, North Carolina.
Oh man,
A training facility in Greenville, North
You're
Carolina.
just
Where
hoping that, right?
no, it's like so. Cody's gonna. I mean, he's got a
Uh,
job.
there's a
He's trying to
campaign.
push that. I got you. I see what you're doing.
There's a campaign. Tony's trying to get me to Greenville, North Carolina.
He's already
I'm
got,
not-
he's
I'm not
already got
opposed
you
to
a
it.
lease. I don't know if you know.
I
this.
mean, I got
I'm talking to
my
landlords.
brother-in-law is also a real estate agent, so I'm working on it.
All
I got
right.
him searching for rental properties. For properties, we got you. And I know what your mom wants. She wants goats,
Goats,
and she's not talking about dating.
No, she doesn't. I have 5 goats. You don't want goats. They're not.
They're adorable.
They
like
are,
our
yeah.
quarterback.
You don't
Yeah,
like
you
your
ever tried to
goats?
fence in a goat? No, I love my goats until I have to go get them out, like put them in their fence
Oh, Greg got
7,
the
8,
law
9
called
times a
on
day. Oh yeah. I've had
Remember
cops
one
telling me
time
because my goats are
remember
out.
what we were supposed to do? We were going to do something. And Greg goes, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it today, guys. The police are here about my goats.
Yeah. Goats are fantastic. They really are cool animals, but build a very, very high, very, very
They can
solid,
jump onto
sturdy.
everything.
Yeah, way to keep them in wherever you're trying to get them because they can jump over anything.
They are, well, hopefully Terrace Marshall Jr. will jump into the action like this goat's jumping out of the
Yeah. Well, they're nimble. Like they can literally walk anything. Like they can walk on a fence top.
Yeah.
They're that nimble.
mountain goats are, they
Yeah, it's
exist for a
crazy.
reason. That's why they can
Yeah.
take downs around the Rockies.
Mhm.
Whatever. Now,
Do you have to mow your lawn, or do the goats just?
no, they just eat his neighbor's grass.
Yeah, I think the neighbor's grass. I mainly got them to get rid of all the poison ivy and poison oak in my yard. But once that was gone, it's like, well, now I guess I got to feed you.
Yeah.
So
F them goats. F them goats. All right. So Bryce Young, the year of our quarterback. Man, it's really nice now, CK, to have, just an answer.
Yeah.
Now, I know Greg says, like, let's not put the cart before the horse in a way, but it might not. It's not that he's going to necessarily work, which we do believe, right? We have optimism. We have reason to believe.
Right.
But here's the thing that we haven't had in the past since Cam. Since Cam was released, we didn't have a firm direction.
Mhm.
And it was just the let's keep throwing crap against the wall and hope something sticks, but not really being committed to something and seeing it to the end.
It just felt like we were constantly chasing ourselves.
Mhm.
Like we let go of Cam Newton, we get Teddy Bridgewater. We still have to pay Teddy Bridgewater, but we cut him after
Yeah,
1
but we
year.
don't like it because we almost were good. And
But wasn't enough to get more than 5 wins, right?
Right.
And then we trade for Sam Darnold and gave away quite a bit to trade for Sam Darnold to pick up his 5th-year option.
chase Deshaun Watson in the process.
Yeah. And then we end up trading for Baker Mayfield. And like it just felt like we were and none of those were long-term answers.
And there was never a real commitment. Like it was just a hope that it would work, not a belief that it would.
Right.
And that's where Bryce Young does give us this, is that whether or not he's under, it's like he can have deficiencies, right? He can have a size question. You can have these issues, but you know what? You've committed to a player now. And now if it doesn't mean it's going to turn into a Super Bowl, it doesn't mean, but you have made a plan of action. You have been, like he was on the field, decisive.
yeah, I mean, I think before with everything else we had, they were trying to catch lightning in a bottle. You know, like you said, there was no plan.
You're buying the $1 lotto ticket, not the
exactly
$20 lotto.
Mhm. And you can win and you can win off the $20 lotto ticket, but it's like what, 1 out of every 25 win. Whereas if you spend $20, 1 out of every 4 is going to win. You got a much better chance. It's a much better plan going forward. I feel better after watching camp today. I didn't see a ton of stuff, but I feel better. Maybe it's just me seeing football again.
Well,
feeling like football's
Greg
closer.
needed just to see. It's kind of like you were the Doubting Thomas.
Yeah.
Do you remember? And he's like this, and you're like, "Hey, is that Jesus?" And he's like, "I got to see the boy." And he's like, Jesus.
Well, the thing, I think one of the things that might also be helping Greg is it doesn't look like Bryce is that small behind that line.
No, it really didn't.
It's like when you actually see it, like 5'10" sounds bad, but when you saw him get behind the line and the fact that he didn't have batted balls today. Like, it wasn't like he was having trouble getting the ball to the receivers today. He was able to get the ball down the field. He clearly could see the field well. Like, you could see that. And I think that's going to take away a lot of that because a lot of the fear is the height. A lot of people have that fear of route. If he's
For me, it's not even the height. It's just kind of the thing that comes with height, and that is just being undersized, the smaller guy.
You worry about his durability.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, and his bad luck happens to big guys. Bad luck can happen to him. I think too is like you said is that some of these Bryce has been this. Bryce has said this. He's like, I've done this my whole life. Like, I know you guys are concerned with my small size and my small stature, but like Greg and I are not the tallest fellows in the world. Sorry, Greg, I didn't mean to call you out.
No, I don't care.
Or like Cody had the best joke the other day. Remember the joke you were like, and I said,
yeah, but I don't remember what you said. I remember what I said.
I said he's tired of that. I said somebody's tired of that chair, and Cody goes, "Tell me about it."
Yeah, you said something like he's tired of sitting in the same chair all the time. Like,
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Exactly. So but Bryce has always played with people who are bigger than him.
Yeah.
So, it's not like he's all of a sudden this is new to him, right? It's new for us to get accustomed to. I think why Greg is truly now on board with Bryce Young is because I'm convinced that Bryce Young is going to sent a handwritten thank you note to everybody who attended camp.
Oh, it's nice as this guy.
Like, he's so nice. He's so polite. It's like if at this point, if I don't get a handwritten thank you from Bryce Young, I'm going to be disappointed. That's why you don't. What is it? You don't give once you start something, like you can't. Oh, I did this as a kid once. I said, man, I'm going to have my neighbor. She traveled a lot and her grass, sometimes.
So you offered to.
Yeah, well, I was like, oh, I'm going to cut her grass. And I started cutting this grass when it was push mower. These are, this is the 80s. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is push mower days. And this stuff was so thick. I am struggling. And then you get a cord. And then once you start,
you can't stop.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, this my buddy said is like I used to wear shirt and tie to work before the pandemic. And he said, oh, you wear a tie on the first day. You got to wear it every day. Yeah. Because all of a sudden it's like, they're like, oh, what is it? Casual Tuesday, casual Friday. You're like, nah, I'm dressed up. I just didn't wear the tie. So now he's so polite, he's going to have to send me a letter.
Yeah.
He has to send me a thank you letter.
Yeah, man. I'm just pumped about this season. The more and more time goes on, the more I realize that we're closer to football. We're at training camp. Like, it's all happening, man. Like, hope springs eternal for the Carolina Panthers. And I'm excited that, it's the year of our QB, 20 C3, baby. It's a special one.
Greg was talking about this is football is right around the corner. It's like preseason game is what?
Like 2 weeks, I think. Yeah.
2
Middle
weeks.
of August. Yeah.
Now we've had an incredible offseason this year. We've had so much support and growth from our fans, right? And this is the deadest time of the year. And it was. And now it's actually picking up. We've had advertisers contact us and things, and we don't pursue it, but some people would send me and they go, oh, well, send us the metrics. And I'm like, dang, like you always are asking me to add because they're preparing for the football season.
Right.
But my most recent metrics are always the worst of our entire calendar year.
Right.
But our metrics, our off-season metrics have been better this year than they have been in past years. And what that does is success breeds the expectation of success.
Yeah.
So last year we had such growth in the podcast, and we were like getting hundreds of subscribers a week, and then you have a week where you get like 4. You're like, oh man,
what I do wrong?
So disappointed.
Yeah.
You're like, our views only went up 1,000.
It's a blow to your ego. It's
Right.
like, oh, what did
So
you do wrong?
this off season was so much to talk about, we've had two major things happen.
Yeah.
We had a change in the coaching staff, one that brought excitement and a positive change, right? And then we also traded up and got the number 1 pick. Next year, you want to talk about feeling a long offseason.
Yeah, we're not going to have a whole
And
lot
then,
to
so
talk
was,
about.
I was telling Cody about this. We were all talking about this, and then he brought up the one other thing.
We have a lot of money this year.
Well, no, that actually,
That's the,
we don't
that's-
even
that's
have
the-
a draft pick, though. We don't even
Yeah,
have a
we
first round
don't
draft pick.
have a first round draft pick. That is the one good thing, is that we're set to have a lot of the free agent dollars. So I'm hoping that will be something that we do. Let's say Bryce has a great year, and they bring in a lot of free agent players that they think can really build the team. But yeah, no first round draft pick. We're not going to be drafting a quarterback. It's going to be the second year for our coaching staff. It's not going to be as exciting of an offseason. But dude, let me tell y'all, I'd much prefer a more exciting season and a more boring offseason.
Right. No. Let's have this. Is like let's have our cake and eat it too. Let's have this.
Right.
Let's have this fantastic offseason this year.
Yeah.
And have great success
Yeah.
in the year of 20C3. And then next year, in next year's offseason, have a bunch of money to spend with the idea of, oh wait, we're good and we're gonna get better. Now my son, my bastard son, White Chocolate Espresso, has asked this: is how did DJ Johnson look? And as we speak about free agency here in a certain case, now I would say this: couldn't see him. That would be my answer to you, Kev. And this, what we need someone to ask. Well, I mean, I see Chris Jenkins next. Talk to him because he's a man of the people, and he's the one that will ask the questions that we ask. We got to ask him to ask, why do they practice on the backfield? We need to know. We need to know the real answer.
Oh,
Don't give us the politician answer.
They may already know. Like if I mean, you got to keep in mind they're probably made
tell
aware
us.
of a few different pieces and whatnot. I mean, it might be worth.
Nick Carboni didn't. I said to Nick, I said yesterday, I said, do you have a sense that is practice going to run like today? Kind of timeline,
He didn't.
where it was. He said, and he was just honest. He said, I have no idea. Like basically, they have more access, but they don't have necessarily more.
Right.
And I'm not trying to diminish their insight to the game. I'm just saying it's not like they have secret knowledge.
Right.
So as we go, my first question to you, or point, Kev, couldn't see him. But as we continue to go back to the free agency talk here, is that we have some questions on this team. And if you said this right now, as with all the optimism we have, this team looks like it's going to be an offensive driven team, or at least that's what like yesterday. It was crazy to say this. It's like, holy cow, we're going to have an offensive team. We're not the whole strategy of our success isn't holding the opponent under 17 points,
Right.
Yeah.
which is all of our success in the past has really been generated around defensive teams in so many ways. The question is, do we add that? Where are the questions on this team? Right? Because I think we say this. I think we're walking out of here with optimism about the offense. Look, Greg is even believing in Bryce Young. That's crazy.
Let me be clear. I'm impressed with what I saw with Bryce Young. I still need to see him do it in a football game
So
with
he's not
with pads on. I was impressed.
Sit here.
Like, I was
Believing is
impressed.
Too strong of a word.
He's
for
going to
the
make
bad
Bryce
guy.
Young
That's right.
hold up his hands and have the holes in them.
Now, do I think he can do it based on what I've seen? Yeah, I think that he can come on, but I still want to see it before I crown him.
But
Man, I love your eyes.
yeah, so we get this offensive, but I feel like this is at the very those are reasonable questions. But when we walk in, you were saying this is there aren't really any stars on the offense. You know what I'm saying? It's like some good players and some things. But now I'm looking at DJ Shark, and I'm telling you this: DJ Shark is not just a one-trick pony. He's not a Robbie Anderson. It's just what we want you to do is have 3 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown, right? I think if DJ Shark can stay healthy, he can do everything. He can take the top off of defense. He's big enough to be a possession receiver. He's fast, like he can get separation, all of these different things. So I think we're coming out of this saying our offense has tools. And Cody has been making this point for a while. Is like, we're not just going to be like, there's an opportunity that this offense can be very, very good.
Yes.
The questions, though, continue to go to the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
One is like, how's the defense going to look under a completely new system? 2, the questions about the health of our cornerback room, right?
Yeah.
And 3, we know number 0 is a hero. But where is the question on that defensive front?
I mean,
And I know people are like, it's not a defensive end, it's an outside linebacker. The guy on the other guy, not named
Other side, yep.
Brian Burns.
well, I mean, DJ Johnson is a big dude. I mean, I think that we're forgetting this dude is 6'4", 270 pounds.
He's like the hammer.
And part of the reason that they drafted him is they want to be able to set a physical edge. They do not want teams to be able to bounce the ball to the outside against the Panthers, and that's you draft a player like that to help you do just that. It's all about pass rushing at this point, like figuring out what he is going to offer, getting after the quarterback. And right now, I mean, he's one of 3 names that we're considering. Marquise Haynes.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
YGM, which that's a name that most people don't want to hear. And DJ Johnson. And I mean, to me, it's anyone's guess as of right now. I would love for it to be, a rookie player, just because I feel like we never have rookies that just come out and just ball out. Maybe Jeremy Chin, but I would be heartened to see DJ Johnson do something real big time this year.
Well, there was one play in particular, the one where I saw Derek Brown get in the backfield, and Bryce Young was getting flattened on this play. If it was a real life, real play, not his fault. Like as soon as he turned around, after he took a step, he turned around. The guys were in his face, but there was 2 defenders. Was Johnson the other guy? I couldn't tell who it was. One was Brown. He was getting closed in on both sides. He was going to get smashed in real life, but I don't know who the other guy was. One was Brown.
I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I Brown and I don't know, maybe Bravion Roy. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
No.
It was so hard to
Bravion,
see.
we learned
would
something
know.
yesterday about
It's a
Bravion.
bowling ball.
He is a big short. He is short. He's a teapot. He's short and stout. And when I say stout, he's like you said a boulder. And
Yeah,
he's like a boulder with arms
Yeah.
and feet. I don't even know if he's got legs.
Arms, feet in the face.
Kool-Aid man.
All right.
But once it starts rolling, hard to stop.
Yeah.
So what do we do? What do we do
We
about
just
that
hope
position?
The best case scenario is that the answer's on our team already.
All right.
Now, my biggest concern on our defense is the linebacking core. And it's just because kind of similar to Greg.
Well-
I want to see it before I start.
Brandon Smith made an interception today.
I'm a big fan of Brandon Smith, but I just don't necessarily know how it's going to look like that. I'm more like Bat Daddy, and I want to see it before I start to say how great they're going to be. But I mean, I don't know about Shaq Thompson and Frankie Luvu as inside linebackers in the 3-4. Like, I don't know what that looks like yet.
Y'all know that's our next shirt, right? I want to see it.
Yeah.
That's the next tagline for the shirt. I want to see it.
That means a lot of different things to a lot of different
I want to see
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but
That's true.
I want to see it with regard to Matt Burton, right?
We don't say his name.
I want to see it with
That's a
Bryce
Baltimore
Young,
around here.
but I also want to see it with Terrace Marshall Jr. Listen, I've been
dying
I
for
told
it.
you he has the biggest potential of everybody on this team, in my opinion, and so I need to see it.
Yeah.
I saw, did you guys see that John Ross retired?
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
That was that guy who set the record for
the
the
fastest
He
40.
ran a
And
4.22.
he also set off, when he ran that, the Cincinnati Bengals drafted him at like number 6 or 7 overall or something.
Mhm.
And then it set off this crazy run on wide receivers that year. And in a year where no one said that wide receivers, there was like, oh, this is a wide receiver class. They were saying I could see a instance where no wide receivers go in the first round or in the top 20 or something. They were saying something like that. And then they drafted John Ross, and everybody else was like, oh crap, there might not be any receivers left for us.
Yeah.
And they just started drafting him. He retired. Has not been that long. I think he was a 2017.
Yeah, it
draft pick.
wasn't very long ago, and
I
he
think it
was
was sooner than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so the thing that we were talking about this with Matt Corral, right? Is that, and this is the difficulty with the NFL, is that it's not just what you do, right? There are so many other contributing factors. Like, you're not in full control of your destiny in the NFL. It's about timing, opportunity, taking the right. And when you are one of these guys that are on the outside, this is why I love Baby Bird so much. He's a guy who has no reason to make a team, who gets 0 opportunity. Like, he gets like 3 opportunities.
Good
And
catch today.
Yeah, and then he goes out and Like, so when he gets an opportunity, he makes the most of it.
Mhm.
And right now, as we continue to look for this camp, we're dying. We're dying for Terrace Marshall Jr. to seize that opportunity. And it's not, and if you're listening to this and like, if it sounds like it's like I'm not a believer at this point. No, I'm not even trying to be critical of him. If he was sitting here right beside me, I wouldn't say, I don't think you can take it. It's just like, this is the reality of the situation, is that you are a guy that has all the physical tools. You have had a difficult hand dealt to you under a crazy crap coach that didn't like you. The offensive coordinator who did like you only lasted a year and a half. And now you have a completely new team and other guys who are very competent and accomplished around you. We're all dying for Terrace Marshall Jr. to take advantage of this, or to hopefully, you don't want to see him move closer to the bubble.
Yeah, and again, though, I'm not going to hit the panic button right now.
Agree. 100.
I'm still believing what I was saying earlier. I think Terrace Marshall Jr. does have number one wide receiver potential. Whether he lives up to that potential is entirely up to him and this team and a bunch of other outside influences. But I mean, I'm not going to panic over 2 days and say, oh, he's the odd man out in this receiving group, because I don't know that's true.
That would not be dying on this hill.
Right.
No, and you know me, boy, I die on this hill.
Well, let me ask with TMJ, like, just say this year he has a breakout year, 13 touchdowns or 1300 yards, 9 touchdowns. Great year. Okay. What would we expect him to be? This is last year, right? What are we paying?
I think
because you don't pay him number one money because he hasn't.
Because you're like a
1 year, exactly.
Off all of that on one date.
Right, exactly. Like, you pay somebody for what they've done in the past, not what they're going to do for the future.
Or
in the NFL.
Versa.
No, in the NFL, it's what you've done already. Like, if you've had 4,000 or 5,000 yard seasons, you're getting paid big money because you have those 4,000 or 5,000 yard seasons, not because we think you're going to have more.
Way to pay somebody not for. That's why you overpay Christian McCaffrey, because you paid him for the 2,000 yard season, not for if he's going to have 3,000 yards next
year. Yeah. So that's why I wonder, what do you pay him if he does have a year like that? Like, I want to keep him. If he has 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns this year, let's re-sign him. But I'm not going to re-sign him to be a top 15 wide receiver in the NFL.
Well, it also depends on how the other guys on the team do.
Yeah.
Because if Jonathan Mingo is really good and, Laviska Shenault continues to be good, it's like you've already proven that you can find these players in the second round.
True.
Just draft another one, man. But to me, receivers, like, they're kind of similar to the running back. And that when it comes to the draft, I mean, if you have a high-end receiver, they'll draft them high. But for the most part, a lot of teams know you can find some real good receivers in later rounds in the draft. I mean, the Steelers do it all the time.
Well, the Panthers don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
We have been trying to have 2 good wide receivers at one time.
Yeah.
We are a 1 wide receiver team. Did you guys see DJ Moore making some big plays in training camp? The Bears, we're thirsty for a quarterback. They're thirsty for a passing game, period, and a receiver that puts up anything. DJ Moore is the manna from heaven for them.
They've never had a quarterback throw for over 4,000 yards ever.
Ever?
That's
4,000 yards.
And by the way, they're like the second oldest team in the NFL.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's absurd.
They have been living in a under Ron Rivera. It's like, we have to. How are we going to win? If we're going to win, there's only one way. Hold them to 14.
And he played there too, so that works out. Yeah.
All right, let's continue to keep going. That's just said the number.
Let's go to cat calls. Hit the bumper.
I could take some cat calls right now.
Well, we do. I'm about to eat while you do it.
No, but I mean, we'll go ahead.
CK has been eyeing these.
I've been touching it. They're still there.
He's got a sub and cannoli sitting right in front of him.
I've also seen you stare down those cannolis, man. I know it's
all right. Well, look, I mean, I don't have a ton more, really. I mean, if you guys, I just we can kind of let you guys take a time to say whatever you want to say. I mean, you want to give I can stretch a podcast till tomorrow.
Right.
Like, I will take the calls right now. You ready to leave? Nope. Let's get a call. And I always say this as though, and the guys that put a little inside peek to the podcast, we're able to. We're all in different locations usually. Again, this is first time we've been together, all of us doing the podcast in person. We're here at Monster Sub and Grub in Spartanburg, South Carolina. If you're coming to training camp, we highly recommend to come here. It's a really great place. It's only 4 miles away from the stadium. You got to go through town a little bit, but real easy, great food, friendly service. You guys will love it. When we're usually doing the podcast, we're all in different towns and different locations. Right. We have the ability to chat in the background where people can't see it. And so there will be inevitably, as we go into a podcast that's like excruciatingly long, Cody will send me a message. CK will be like, how many calls we got left? And I'll go, only 3. And then right when we get to the second to last call, I could see them. I could see them all being like, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Tony goes, the number's 252-228. I'm like, I'm going to screw these guys over right now. I'm going to make you be my friend. I'm making you hang out with me.
Yeah.
Making you hang out. We're hanging out together right now. Cody, I don't know. We'll pull it together. It's been an hour and a half. It's kind of a good time. What are your kind of final thoughts or what is on your mind? And we'll go around.
Well, first thing, I love you boys. Happy to be here with all of you, man. This is great. I hope it's the first of many more times that we're able to do this. I want to thank PJ Muscles Marinara and Monster Subs and Grubs for letting us be here, man. This has been incredible. Everyone in the chat room is loving that we're all here together. Great vibes all around, man. My first time ever in Spartanburg. We'll be back here on Saturday at Gibbs Stadium to check out what they're doing. And man, I feel it. Football is around the corner. Panthers football is right here. The year of our QB. 20 C3, baby. You already know what it is.
Such a good shirt. It's on the way. CK, your thoughts, your final kind of conclusion to the C3, the year, our second, right? We'll have one more. Well, are we doing a post on Saturday or we got other stuff to do?
We'll probably do because we got to do that. We got the charity thing.
Yeah. Let's squeeze one in, man.
Yeah, we'll probably do something that night. Tomorrow night, we got the Friday free for all. I think Cody's still going to try to run
still
that.
Doing the free for all.
It might not run as late because you got to get up early and get back out here for that.
Yeah. So if y'all want to jump on that too, I might do it a little bit earlier if y'all want to jump on that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, we got Saturday, and then we're back to our regular scheduled program. I'll be heading to FanFest. Cody and Greg will both be. So 3 of us are going to be at FanFest. So if you guys are planning on making it out to there, you guys will still have 3/4 of the 4 horsemen out there. But
I'll be there.
And then we're off to the races, man. We're just a few weeks away from our first preseason game where we're actually going to see some legitimate football. We're going to see a lot of the questions that we have answered then, more so than we're going to find in camp. Camp is going to be what it is. They're easing it into it right now. They're not going to have their first padded practice until Monday. So we're not really getting the full force of what this team is going to be expected to be. And in preseason on the 12th, I think is the first game against the Jets as they come here to Spartanburg to do that joint practice.
What a big – I feel – go ahead. You go ahead, Greg, because I got my final thought.
Okay. Yeah. I love being here. This is fantastic. We definitely need to do this more often because this is really fun.
Yeah.
Super excited to eat a sub after this because I've been in here for like
Greg said when we
2
got
hours
here,
now.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. I've been here for like 2 hours now smelling this.
Hey, guess what? The number's 252-228-59.
I will say, man, it was fun going to training camp. It's awesome seeing y'all. I was impressed with what I saw today. I was coming to see Bryce Young today. I was impressed with what I saw. Great throw in motion. Ball quick out of his hands. I could watch him go through his reads very quickly, make good decisions. A couple of bad throws, a couple of great throws. It's the way it's going to be. I mean, you're not going to make every throw perfect. But all in all, I was pretty impressed today. I'm excited for the season going forward. And, I'm just ready to get things done, man.
Thank you, Michelle. Michelle Cranford says it was also amazing meeting you guys at training camp. Thank you for all the supporters, man, all the people in the chat room each and every week. Thanks to PJ Muscles Marinara, man. It's wonderful being here. It's been such a gracious host to us yesterday and today. Thank you guys. You 3, you're very important to me, man. This podcast has become something. We were talking about our identities and purpose in life and things like this. This has become part of my life, right? And you guys are a big reason for that. My final thought goes back to what CK said when it comes to the New York Jets, right? Coming in, is that the year of 20C3, there are a lot of signs that it's true. We've got a big coaching staff with some great names. We traded up to get a first-round pick. He is adorably polite and awesome and amazing. He looks the part. He looks capable.
Mm-hmm.
The signs are all there, and the attention
Is about to be.
the attention is about to be as Aaron Rodgers and Hard Knocks come. And guess what? The Carolina Panthers steal the show.
Yeah, let's go.
Man, it has been wonderful hanging out with you guys. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Thank you for all your donations. Don't forget, we do this each and every week on Tuesday nights live at 9 p.m. Check out all of our content. Help these wonderful creators that have come out today. Man, you guys get in there, and we're going to continue to grow this culture together. That's the C3 Panthers podcast. Let's get out of here.